Welcome back to Doomed Departures. The call that started my worst afternoon of that summer came from a fishing guide 2 miles downstream of the rapid, and all he said was, "I have got an empty kayak circling in my eddy, turquoise rental sticker on the bow, and a pink water bottle knocking against the rocks beside it." I want you to understand what an empty boat means on this river, because every river ranger learns it in their first season. Kayaks are better swimmers than people. A capsized boat rides high, bounces off the rocks, and floats out of trouble on its own, and that is why we find them. The river gives the plastic back. It is much slower about giving back the person. And by the time that guide's voice came over my radio, I already knew we were not looking for a swimmer anymore. We were looking for a body. What I did not know yet was how many times she had been warned that morning, in how many different ways, by how many different people. I counted them later for the report. The number was 11. Before we launch into this one, I owe you the honest words I owe you every time. This is a dramatization. It is a composite, built from the documented pattern of whitewater drownings that repeat on desert rivers every single season, with invented people standing in for the very real ones. The river is real, the rapids are real, the physics and the warnings and the mistakes are all real. Only the names are not. I am a river ranger on the Colorado in that stretch of red rock country where the water runs the color of coffee with too much cream in it. And I need to tell you the single most important thing about my river before I tell you about the woman I am going to call Sandy. The river is not cruel. The river is not angry. The river is a machine made of weight and speed. It was running before your grandmother was born, and it will be running after your grandchildren are gone, and it does not know you are in it. People drown in rivers because they mistake indifference for mercy. There is no mercy. There is only physics, and physics has no customer service desk. Sandy arrived at the outfitter's shop on a Tuesday morning in June, in a rented SUV with her friend Gail, 2 iced coffees, and a phone already filming. 54 years old, bright pink athletic set, sunglasses on her head, the kind of woman who walks into a room volume first. The outfitter runs guided flotillas down the daily stretch, a beautiful run, mostly gentle, with one section of real rapids in the middle that they walk customers through at the pre-launch briefing every single trip, every single morning. I have stood through that briefing 100 times. It is 11 minutes long. It covers the 3 commandments of moving water, and Sandy filmed a story for her followers through all 11 minutes of it. You can see the guide behind her in the video she posted pointing at the whiteboard, explaining the exact rapid that would kill her 6 hours later. She captioned it, blah, blah, blah. "Let's go already." 200 people liked that caption. Warning number 1. There were 10 more coming, and I want you to watch how each one bounces off. The guide that day was a young man I will call Marcus, 7 seasons on that stretch, the kind of river guide who reads water the way you read a sentence. At the put-in, he clipped every customer's life vest himself, tugged the straps, checked the fit. This matters more than anything else I will tell you today, so let me say it plainly. A life vest that is not zipped and cinched is not a life vest. It is a souvenir. In moving water, a loose vest rides up over your head and leaves you exactly as buoyant as you were the day you were born. When Marcus reached Sandy, the trouble started before the river ever did. The vest she had grabbed off the rack would not close over her chest, and instead of asking for another, she had draped it over her shoulders open, like a jacket on a chair. Marcus did what good guides do. He jogged to the trailer, brought back the extended sizes, 3 of them, held the largest one out to her, and she looked at it, looked at him, and delivered the line Gail would repeat to the investigators word for word. "Not my size, sweetheart. If you do not carry my size, I will do it my way." He explained patiently, that an open vest is not a vest, that the extended fit was made for exactly this, that he could not launch her without flotation that closes. She laughed, shrugged the open vest back on like a stole, and called it settled. Warning 2. Before the first bend, it was hanging off one shoulder. The first 2 hours gave her everything the brochure promised, and honestly, the daily stretch at midsummer is one of the prettiest places on this earth. Canyon walls, the color of rust and fire, coming straight out of the water. Great blue herons lifting off the sandbars, the little riffles that splash the kids and make everybody laugh. Sandy had a wonderful time, and this is the part of these stories nobody wants to hear. The mistake almost always feels wonderful while it is being made. She kept paddling ahead of the group, and Marcus kept calling her back once, twice, 3 times, 4, each time explaining that the group stays together because the river changes character around blind bends, and the safety of a flotilla is the flotilla. Warnings 3 through 6 logged by me from Gail's statement and the other customers' accounts. Sandy's answer, smiling every time, was some version of the same sentence. Sweetheart, I have been on boats my whole life, lake boats. She'd been on lake boats. And I want to stop here and teach you the one piece of arithmetic that separates lakes from rivers, because Sandy never learned it, and it is the whole story. Water weighs 62 pounds per cubic foot. A lake holds that weight still. A river throws it. When the current doubles its speed, the force it puts on your body does not double. It quadruples. Current that walks at 3 miles an hour can hold a grown man against a rock. Current at 6 can fold a kayak around a bridge piling like tin foil. The gentle stretch Sandy was winning arguments on was moving at 2. The rapid ahead, squeezed between boulders that fell off the canyon wall 10,000 years ago, was moving at 9. She had never in her life felt what 9 feels like. Nobody has on a lake. There is a second number Sandy never learned, and it is colder than the first. That brown water she was floating on started the month as snow in the San Juan Mountains. In June on the daily stretch, the Colorado runs between 55 and 60 degrees, and I can hear you thinking that 60 degrees does not sound so bad because you are imagining air. Water at 60 pulls heat out of a human body 25 times faster than air at the same temperature, and the first thing it does to you is not hypothermia. Hypothermia is the slow chapter. The first thing is the gasp. Cold water on the face and chest triggers an involuntary breath, a full, deep, reflexive gasp that you cannot suppress any more than you can suppress a sneeze. And whether that gasp happens above the foam or below it is very close to the whole difference between a story you tell at dinner and a story I tell at a folding table. Rescue swimmers teach a rule called 1-10-1. You get 1 minute of gasping and hyperventilation where your only job is to keep your airway up. You get about 10 minutes of meaningful movement while the cold shuts down your arms and hands. And you get roughly 1 hour before hypothermia finishes the argument. Strong swimmers die inside the first minute all the time, not because they could not swim, but because the river did not schedule the gasp above the surface. Every drop of that arithmetic assumes flotation. Take the vest away, and the 1-10-1 rule collapses into a single number, and it is small. I learned later how the trip got chosen, and it belongs in this file too. Gail told us, Sandy found the outfitter on her phone 2 nights before at the hotel, and she did not pick the run with the best safety record or the best guides, although as it happens, they have both. She picked it because a travel influencer with 500,000 followers had posted a video from the rapid the previous summer, whooping through the spray in slow motion, and the comments were full of people typing bucket list with little fire emojis. Sandy watched that clip 11 times, Gail said. Nobody in that comment section mentions the briefing, or the vest checks, or the guide hovering just out of frame in his own boat, positioned exactly where a professional positions himself above a hole. The algorithm cropped the safety out of the shot the way it always does, and sold her the whoop without the system that made the whoop survivable. She came to the river to stand inside somebody else's video. The river does not honor other people's footage. They stopped for lunch at the last sandbar above the rapids, and this is where the day breaks in half. Marcus gathered the group and gave the talk he gives at that beach every single day. Around the bend is the one serious piece of water on this trip. We run it as a unit, tight line on the right, everybody follows my boat, and if anybody would rather walk it, the trail is right there and there is no shame in it. I will bring your boat down myself. Warning 7. He then said, and 3 customers repeated this word for word, whatever you do, do not enter that rapid on the left side. The left side drops into a hydraulic. Warning 8. I should tell you what a hydraulic is because the word sounds technical and the thing itself is a monster. Where water pours over a ledge, it drives to the bottom and then curls back on itself upstream endlessly, like a washing machine drum spinning in place. Boaters call them holes. A hole does not flush you downstream. A hole keeps you. It pulls you down, spits you halfway up, and pulls you down again, recycling you like the river is chewing. Small ones let you go in seconds. The one on river left below that lunch beach is not small. It has a name, which I am not going to say because the name is a person who died in it in 1998. Here's what the phones captured, because of course the phones captured it. While Marcus was helping 2 nervous customers tighten their vests, Sandy pushed her kayak off the sand. Gail called after her. Warning 9, a retired firefighter in the group, a lovely man who did everything right that day, actually waded in and grabbed her stern handle and told her to wait for the guide. Warning 10. She laughed, said the sentence about the boats again, and paddled out of his hand. And Marcus, seeing her go, did the only thing left, which was to sprint for his own boat while shouting the 11th and final warning across the water, the same 5 words he had said at the beach. Not the left side, right side. She went left. Not out of defiance, I truly believe that. She went left because the left looked smoother from upstream, a long green tongue of glassy water, and that is the river's oldest trick. The smooth tongue is smooth because it is fast, and it is fast because it is falling, and everything on it is already committed. The video Gail shot from the sandbar is 41 seconds long. For the first 10, it is almost funny. Sandy whooping, paddle in the air like a rodeo rider, the pink of her outfit vivid against the brown water. Then the tongue drops. The kayak accelerates in a way that makes the camera flinch, and you can see the exact frame where fun dies. The bow catches the curl sideways. The boat flips upstream, which is what boats do, in a motion so fast it looks like an edit. And then the hole starts its work. The kayak porpoises once, twice, and washes out to the right, upright and empty, riding high, better swimmer than any of us. Sandy does not wash out. You can see her vest in the foam. Just the vest. Bright red, spinning in the white open, exactly as buoyant as the day it was made and holding nobody, because a vest that is not zipped is a souvenir, and the river had just accepted the donation. Marcus hit the water behind her faster than I have ever seen a guide move. He set safety exactly right, rope from the rock spur below the hole, and threw within reach of the foam pile 3 times. The firefighter backed him up. The other customers did everything they were told. I need you to hear that because when these stories run online, strangers line up to blame the guide, and the file on my desk says the guide was flawless. You cannot throw a rope to someone the river is holding under. Recirculation time in that hole, measured by the recovery team with instruments, was between 11 and 14 seconds per cycle. A person in cold, aerated water without flotation has functional breath control for about 2 cycles. The math does not have a villain in it, it just has an answer. I want to give Marcus 1 more minute before I close the file, because the internet never does. He stayed on the rock spur, coiling and throwing until the hole flushed nothing for 20 minutes, and then he did the hardest thing a guide ever does, which is turn around and guide. 6 customers still sat on that sandbar, one of them a 12-year-old, all of them needing to get down the same river before dark, past the same hole, in boats. He walked the beach, checked every vest with hands the firefighter described as perfectly steady, and brought every one of them home down the right side line. 2 days later, he ran the stretch again, because the calendar had bookings and the season does not pause for grief. And that night, the company owner told me he sat in the boathouse and filled out the trip log for the day Sandy died, in neat handwriting, the same way he had filled out 700 trip logs before it. 11 minutes of briefing, 4 callbacks, 5 words across the water. There is a version of this story where any single one of those lands, and Marcus lives the rest of his career inside the version where none of them did. When you argue with your guide, that is who you are arguing with, not an employee. The person who has already decided he will dive into a hydraulic after you and would rather never have to. And Gail. Gail stood on that sandbar holding a phone that was still recording, because that is what happens to most people when the worst thing arrives. The body keeps doing whatever it was doing 3 seconds earlier. She got 41 seconds of footage that the investigators needed and that she will spend the rest of her life wishing did not exist. I sat with her twice that week. And the second time, she asked me the question that I think about more than any other question I have been asked in this uniform. She said, "I was her best friend for 30 years and she never once listened to me either, so what was I supposed to sound like?" And I did not have an answer then, but I have one now. And it is for every Gail listening to this. You are not supposed to sound like anything. You are supposed to sound like everyone. The 11th warning does not work because it is louder or smarter than the first 10. It works when it works because it is the 11th, because somewhere in even the most armored confidence, there's a counter quietly ticking and nobody can know which number finally lands. Your voice was not wasted, it was counted. The only wasted warning is the one that goes unsaid because somebody decided in advance that she never listens. Gail goes to the put in every June now, on the anniversary, and watches the briefing from the back, and she told me that when she sees a customer filming through it, she walks over and says one sentence, "You will want to have heard this." That is her warning now, number 1 of somebody else's 11, and I have decided that is the most useful thing anyone has ever done with grief on my river. We recovered Sandy 3 days later, 1.5 miles downstream, in the slow water where the river gives things back. I made the notification calls myself. Gail asked me the question they always ask, which is whether it was quick, and I told her the truth, which is that in whitewater, it is. And then she said something I have carried around ever since. She said, the whole trip, everybody kept telling her things, and I never once heard her hear any of them. 11 warnings, a briefing, a zipped vest, 4 callbacks, a beach talk, a named hazard, a friend's voice, a firefighter's hand on her boat, and a guide's last 5 words across the water. Every single one of them was free. The river only charges for the lesson once, at the end, full price. The numbers on this are not exotic, and I want them said once plainly. Drowning is the second leading cause of death in the national parks after falls, and on river corridors it is first by a distance. When the Coast Guard tallies recreational drownings across this country year after year, the finding at the top of the report never changes. In the overwhelming majority of deaths, a life jacket was available and was not worn, or was worn the way Sandy wore hers, open, loose, decorative. Not 1 in 10 of those people planned to swim that day. The river does not care what you planned, and the empty boat that started this story is so common on this river that our dispatch has a code for it, and every ranger's stomach drops the same way when it comes over the radio, because we all know the ratio. The plastic comes back that afternoon. The person comes back on the river's schedule, in the slow water, days later. If you ever see a kayak circling an eddy with nobody in it, you are not looking at lost property. You are looking at the last page of a story exactly like this one, and the only question left is how many warnings the person collected on the way to it. If you take one thing off this river today, take 3. Zip the vest, every strap, every time, and let it ruin the photos. Stay behind the person who reads water for a living, because the space between your boat and theirs is where their knowledge can still reach you. And when the smooth green tongue invites you left while a professional is screaming right, understand that the river grooms its traps precisely so they outshine the safe line. Beautiful and lethal are not opposites out here. On this river, they are usually the same feature, photographed from different distances. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Doomed Departures and do one thing for me. The next person you see at a boat ramp wearing their life vest like an open jacket, say something. Say it kindly, say it early, and if they laugh at you, say it once more anyway. That is warning number 1, and you have no idea how many are left. I am the ranger who counted to 11. You are the person who can still be counted among the living. Stay with me, and on the next departure, I will tell you about a woman who was offered the fastest rescue this desert has, a helicopter, hovering 30 feet away, and waved it off like a waiter with the wrong order, so that maybe, for one of you, the wave becomes the warning.